Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we're experts, because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Noah, and I'm going to be this episode's regent, but to do this right, I'm also going to need some earthly manifestations. First up, two men who cannot be trusted with prehensile tales, Cecil and Heath.
You don't even trust me with one of those little those little hand grabber tools?
Yeah, smart, empathetic.
I got a prehensile head. I feel like that's something.
And also joining us tonight, two men who would be happy to take a Monkey King if it meant we could stop letting Republicans vote, Tom and Eli.
I mean, if the Republicans vote, we get the Monkey King.
Sure, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
And of course, before we get started, I want to take a minute to remind our audience that if it wasn't for the patrons, we wouldn't be here. So if you're looking for somebody to blame, it's on them as much as us. If you'd like to learn how to share in the blame, be sure to stick around to the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today we're talking about the Monkey King, apparently.
All right, and Eli, you read the essay. Are you ready to pretend towards knowledge?
I'm ready for your oohs and ahs, no illusions.
All right, so tell us, who is the Monkey King?
So Sun Wukong is the main character of the best 2,000-page novel you've never read.
Stop flumming, you preps.
Exactly. He's as kick-ass as Batman, he's as sneaky as Loki, and it's almost impossible to imagine anything from Avatar: The Last Airbender to Game of Thrones without his incredible influence.
Okay, so your essay is about a fictional character?
That it is, no illusions, that it is. See, as the gamers in our audience are already well aware, this year the long-awaited video game Black Myth Wukong hit digital shelves, and it has been a massive hit. As of this recording, it's sold more than 10 million copies, and the game and characters are all heavily based on the book from which Song Wukong originates, The Journey to the West, one of China's 4 great classical novels.
Okay, Eli, are you going to pretend that you've read a 2,000-page book here? Because, I want a yes and, but I've seen you give up on phone charger instructions. So.
That's fair. That is fair. No, I haven't read the book. No, my relationship with Journey to the West started as all great stories do in front of Saturday morning television. There I sat, bowl of sugary cereal in front of me, enjoying my favorite anime, Dragon Ball. Its main character, Goku, was fighting some bad guy or another in his giant ape-like Saiyan form, accompanied by wax from his magically expanding fighting stick. When my dad, usually one to ignore whatever TV I was watching, asked me, "Hey, is that Song Wukong?" Because unlike me now and then, he had read the book and was actually pretty excited to see a version of the character anywhere in the Western world. A week later, I held Anthony C. Yu's famous 4-volume, 2,300-page translation of Journey to the West in my hands.
And you read it?
I sure didn't, no illusions. I made it about half a page into the intro before I got bored and never touched it again. Yeah, but my pop was no quitter. So the following week, he brought me home a comic book adaptation of that book, which I quickly devoured. Since then, I've dived into 2 of the significantly shorter abridgments of Journey to the West and enjoyed a couple of the Chinese movies of the story, and thus...
The one with the pictures on every other page?
The one with the pictures on the page, yes, exactly. And thus, by the standards of our podcast, I am more than qualified to talk about it.
Point of order, the standards of our podcast are lower than swiping on a dating app, Eli.
Yep. All right. Well, with a personal pre-subject diversion that would make Tom jealous out of the way, tell us, what is A Journey to the West?
Right. So, like I said, it's one of China's 4 great classical novels. It's broken into 100 chapters, and as I've said a couple of times now, it's more than 2,000 pages, and it's mostly an allegory for enlightenment. It's chock full of poems and songs and myths and legends, and as I said at the beginning, it's hard to overstate its influence, right? Aside from Dragon Ball and Black Myth Wukong, which I already mentioned, you'd be hard-pressed to find a piece of anime or Eastern culture that doesn't have some element of Journey to the West in its DNA. Journey to the West, it's often been said, is like if Shakespeare had written Star Wars.
Nice. I mean, if George Lucas had a team of ghostwriters, those movies might have been good. My curiosity is piqued, Eli.
Hey, it'd actually have been even better if Ben Johnson had written them.
So thank you.
Nah.
Yes, correct. So, in fact, originally I was thinking I'd do this essay on Journey to the West, but then I realized that we didn't have anywhere close to enough time to cover its story. So, taking a page from the novel itself, this week we'll just be talking about chapters 1 through 7, the origins of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King.
Yeah, no, the problem is that he knew too much about the 2,000-page novel to do an episode, listeners. You knew too much.
That's
It's
right,
too big.
girthy. It was
Yes.
girthy, my
Yes.
knowledge. Yeah,
Wait,
I get
Eli,
complaints.
how many pages was the book?
I don't think I've mentioned it. It's very, which is weird because I've already admitted I didn't read it. So
Yes.
it's like talking about someone else's dick length.
Did the book win a Lee Bennett Hopkins Award by any chance?
No, it wishes. It wishes. So our story begins on Flower Fruit Mountain, the Mount Olympus of Journey to the West. It's an island paradise full of dragons, magic birds, immortal peach trees, and one really big rock at the very top of a stone pillar at the very top of a mountain.
Seems like a terrible place for a really big rock, if you ask me.
Like the worst
Right?
spot.
Well,
You're just asking for
actually,
trouble.
as luck would
Gonna be
have
like an
it,
Indiana Jones thing.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Well,
Sisyphus
think that-
purchases it up there, just walks away whistling like, I got it.
Nailed
got
it.
it.
Got it in
First
one. Yeah.
try.
Yeah,
So,
that'll
as-
hold. Slaps it.
He's taping it to the roof of his car as he drives up. Yeah. So as luck would have it, the top of that pillar on the top of that mountain is exactly the location where the forces of yin, the earth, and the forces of yang, the heaven, meet. And so the rock gets pregnant.
The Rock also gets pregnant in the upcoming reboot of Twins with him and Kevin Hart. I'm kidding. It's a bad time limit. It isn't that bad, guys. It's not that bad.
I
I'd
think
watch
you
that.
thus sparked Zarathustra's that into existence. Yeah, I'd be careful. So the
I
pregnant
feel
rock,
like you haven't read that book either now, Eli.
I also haven't. Thus, I'm pretty sure that's not in that book.
Yeah, also, it's
So-
not the name of it, the thing you said.
Exactly. Yeah. So the pregnant rock bursts open to reveal another rock, specifically a stone egg. Now, the top of the stone pillar at the top of the mountain also happens to be where the 4 elements, fire, water, wind, and earth, all meet. So after each gently touches the egg hatches and gives birth to a stone monkey.
Okay, for some reason, I don't know why, this isn't the point, but I'm picturing Fire showing up late to that with like donuts and kind of a
No
college.
question. Yeah, 100%.
Come on, the
Now,
three
this-
of you all cancel me out. Like each of you separate. This is bullshit.
It's true. That's fair. Fair. Now, the stone monkey feels pretty lucky to exist. So the first thing he does is bow to the 4 cardinal directions to thank, well, everything for existing. And the shine of his eye is so magnificent that it reaches the palace of the Jade Emperor in heaven.
What are the who now?
The monkey shines, Noah. It's the monkey shines.
Yeah. So, okay. Little bit of explanation is in order. So Chinese cosmology rules for a bunch of reasons. First of all the Eastern religions kind of smoosh together in the novel, right? Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, and they're not in the lame like, no, my prophet is the real one, and you guys are all going to hell now way that Judeo-Christianity does it. The gods of all the Eastern religions all just kind of hang out and do their best to manage an admittedly confusing political pecking order. So the Jade Emperor, who I mentioned before, is the ruler of heaven, and his backstory is sufficiently apeshit that I kind of have to include it. See, the Jade Emperor was once a wise and mighty ruler of the kingdom of pure felicity and majestic heavenly lights and ornaments.
Yeah, he actually won the contest at his HOA subdivision 3 years running. So.
So back then, the earth was way suckier than it is now.
I don't believe you.
Well, there were way less gods to protect people and way more shitty monsters. So Jade Emperor decides to power up his Tao to help out. He goes to the bright and fragrant cliff, TM, for 327 million
Gives tax
years.
cuts to the rich.
And when his Tao is extra Taoist, he kicks a bunch of demon ass, and that's how he became the Jade Emperor.
Feels like every plot to every Jason Statham movie.
Okay, look, he looked old in Beekeeper, but not 327 million years old. 325 million if he was a dad.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. So back to the monkey with the shining eyes. Now, a lot of modern depictions of this moment actually get the passage wrong. When they depict the shine of his eyes reaching heaven, they show it like laser vision or a spotlight. And don't get me wrong, that's cool. but the shine of your eyes is actually something
Something
different.
different. Yeah, that sounded ridiculous. What really happened?
Thank you, Heath. So, if you watched anime or even certain broader genres of Eastern cinema, you know about this moment when a badass character appears on the scene and they turn around and their eyes go shing because of how cool they are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the shine of your eyes means. In Western literature, you'll hear something like their eyes flashed with anger or something like that. It's the same thing. So, the point of this passage is that this monkey is so badass and cool that his introductory eye shing reaches all the way to the ruler of heaven, who's like, oh shit, that cannot be good. And to be fair to the Jade Emperor, he was spot on the money.
Okay, kind of took him a while, though. He was like, oh, it's just a stone monkey birthed from earth and heaven, fucking a boulder using fire, earth, wind, and water. Hold on, wait a minute. You guys saw that shing eye thing just now, right?
When I said fucking rocks, I meant like it's super fun, not fuck a rock. Never mind. It's same. Good.
Anyways, for right now, Sun Wukong is just a monkey, albeit one who is made out of stone. So he hangs out with some other monkeys. Now, these monkeys like to bathe in a river at the bottom of a waterfall. And one day, one of the normal monkeys is like, ah, man, if only one of us were brave enough to jump to the top of this waterfall, that monkey would be our king. And Sun Wukong is like, say no more. And he jumps the fuck out of that waterfall.
You know, on second thought, leg strength seems like a bad way to choose a leader. You know,
I mean, I'd take it this election, Cecil. I would take it.
See, that's why you have to train plyometrics. You need that explosiveness if you're ever going to be more than an anthropomorphic, shining-eyed stone simian demigod, my man. More plates, more dates. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, I agree,
that's a
Cecil.
real saying, isn't it?
It sure is.
Fucking course it is. So, Cecil, I agree. Terrible way to choose a king. Motherfucker, pull a sword out of a rock or jerk off a horse or something normal, like a normal king.
Exactly. Yeah. So on the other side of the waterfall, Sun Wukong finds a beautiful cave with an iron bridge and a giant stone mansion filled with furniture and all the cool shit monkeys, stone or otherwise, could want. So all the monkeys move in, and as they promised, they make him their king. So he names himself Handsome Monkey King.
Okay, Eli, are you just like telling us a dream you had? Like, well, fuck you if you just ask us one. Like, you don't have to do this whole thing.
I wish. So the monkeys all lived like that for a while, but then one day, one of the older monkeys dies. And Handsome Monkey King is like, hey, what the fuck is Rick doing? And the other monkeys are like, oh, that's dead. That's what dying is. And Handsome Monkey King is like, well, that sucks. Does everyone do that? And the monkeys are like, yeah, pretty much everyone does that. There's a couple of humans who are immortal, but yeah, pretty much everyone dies. So Handsome Monkey King is like, fuck that. And he builds a raft and he sails to the land of men to find an immortal and learn his secrets.
Okay, and I think I know the next part. Is that where then he rips the face off that lady on Oprah and then everyone pretends monkeys aren't indifferent, capricious incarnations of pure evil?
Jesus Christ.
I got to be honest, I'm not seeing the connection to Batman here at all so far. So.
Then you're not looking, no illusions. You're not looking.
I do remember Batman ripping that lady's face off on Oprah.
Exactly.
Though, so
Yeah,
Tom's
he
help.
ate that lady's face off.
And you get a face. And you get a face.
Traumatized by a death, takes strange actions to remedy said death. I mean, there's a lot there. Read deep. So he gets to the land of men, but he's a giant stone monkey, so most people just run away when they see him. So he steals some clothes and hides his face so he can go amongst the people looking for immortals.
He's got a flayed human skin over his back like a lion hunter. Stop running away. I'm gone again.
What are you?
I recognize that face from Oprah. Hold on a second.
So he looks and he looks, but he mostly just sees like humans being jerks. And just as he's about to give up, he hears a woodcutter singing a song, and that song includes a reference to some super duper secret wisdom called the Yellow Court Scripture. So Handsome Monkey King is like, dude, how do you know about the Yellow Court Scripture? Are you one of those immortals? And the woodcutter is like, nah, no. But I learned the song from a guy who lives in a cave in this forest, and he's immortal. So Monkey King is like, huh, that's very roundabout. Let me meet the guy then. And he heads into the forest and finds the cave.
Yeah, it turns out it was just Noah in his first apartment selling enough weed to maintain his habit.
So, I think you're thinking of the Green Court Scripture, Cecil. But yes.
That's pretty hard to stop with a stone monkey on your back, though.
Thank you.
And 5-year-old Tom being like, parent me.
Yeah, exactly. So Handsome Monkey King, he knocks on the door to the cave, and
Tom's
it's
mom had a
answered.
monkey.
Monkey
She's a
dies.
bad lady. Yep.
Had.
So
Right
Monkey
there.
King knocks on the door to the cave, and it's answered by a celestial child, which is the child of a god and a person, something that is way more common and way less rapey in Chinese mythology than it is in Greek or Judeo-Christian myth.
I see no way you reach a consensual relationship dynamic when one of you is a god and the other one isn't, but I'll take
right.
your word
I feel
for
like
it.
there's a
Feels like
power
a-
dynamic there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. No,
feels like
exactly.
a-
Exactly.
These are actually the speeches they gave at my wedding, and it's really nice to hear you guys say it again. Anyway, the celestial child is like, "Are you here to learn wisdom?" And Handsome Monkey King is like, "Fuck yeah, I am, dude." And so the child lets him inside. And inside, he finds the great sage Huti Sushi, the Chinese fictional version of Subhuti, a real guy who was one of Buddha's 10 original disciples.
I love it for the disciple of Buddha to stop using his toddler demigod as a butler. I feel like that's not
It's not just
enlightened.
one toddler. It's like a whole army of toddlers. Anyways,
Wait, what?
Puri Sushi, it's a whole army. Puri Sushi is like, "Hey man, are you the exact middle of heaven and earth and also the four elements?" And Handsome Monkey King is like, "I am. Thank you for noticing. Will you teach me to be immortal?" And Puri Sushi is like, "I absolutely will teach you to be immortal. But first, I'm going to change your name. You remind me of a monkey. So I'm going to change your name to Sung Wukong, which means monkey awakened to emptiness."
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I just read a bunch of Albert Camus, so it's this thing is.
Yeah, I'm team blue pill all the way. You can keep your fucking emptiness.
That's fair. That's fair.
Sorry, Eli, there's an army of demigod toddler butlers and you didn't mention it. You just like
They're all
skated over it.
sweeping
You
up.
just called it one child.
Well, he actually goes on a bunch of adventures with the celestial children, but I felt like it was a distraction. And when I looked, my essay was 15 pages long.
Yeah, that is very distracting,
There was
but I
some,
want to hear it.
There was some chopping that they did. See me after the show.
Okay,
See me after
got
the
it.
show. We'll talk. Eye contact. I'm doing the pointy thing. My eyes.
Yeah,
your
no,
eyes,
I was
my
doing
eyes,
it
your
too.
eyes. Okay, good. Nice. So Sung Wukong studies with Puri Sushi for about 7 years. He's learning wisdom. He's cleaning the grounds with an army of toddlers until one day, in the middle of a sermon about Tao or something wise, he stands up and he's like, "Hey, don't get me wrong. I am loving it here, but I'm also really looking to be immortal. Any chance we can kind of skip ahead to that lesson?" So Puri Sushi hits him on the head 3 times with a stick, shuts the gates to his house in his face, which all the celestial children take as a rejection, but Sung Wukong realizes is a secret signal that he does know how to be immortal, and he's totally going to teach him now. So that night, he shows up at a secret entrance at the secret time that getting hit in the head 3 times apparently told him about. And Puri Sushi is there, and he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you read me hitting you in the head as the affirmation it was. Let me teach you to be immortal."
Okay, the version of that I learned at a Zen dojo was that you sit outside the gate and they come out and hit you with a stick just like every so often. But after 3 days, they eventually let you in. And
Tyler
then
let
you're
you in eventually?
worthy
That's
or
Why
cool.
whatever.
would you want to go in
That's
to a
what
place
I
where they
said.
keep?
I was like, A, why would you tell me that secret? B, I'm not going to use that. Why would anybody want to go in? And they were like, we would.
And then they
shouldn't have told
pour
you
the lie on your hand, and you have to look them right
you
in
gotta,
the eye. And
you gotta,
like, stay
they
in the
kiss it
moment.
first, though.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
kiss it,
Yeah,
and then they, yeah.
By the way, the origins of that practice are literally this novel. Anyways, so he has super cool secret immortality lessons with Puri Sushi for 3 years. And when he's got it, Sushi's like, "Okay, so good news is you're pretty much immortal."
Nope, that's called mortal.
Yep.
You're describing mortal.
The bad news is the gods hate it
It's
when
it's
people
a binary.
Yeah. Pretty much.
So the bad news is the gods hate it when people are immortal. So they're going to try and kill you 3 times, once every 500 years.
Again, mortal.
Yeah,
That's
so
just
mortal.
Can't
Okay.
work.
Yep.
It's not.
First, they're going to strike you with lightning. Then if that doesn't work,
They
500
won't,
years
'cause you're
later,
immortal.
they're going to set you on fire.
It won't, 'cause you're immortal.
And if all else
Seems like that
fails,
wouldn't matter.
500 years after that, they're going to disintegrate you
Won't
with their
matter.
disintegration
All right.
ray.
Well, no, that seems like it would be inconvenient.
But the good news is I'm going to teach you the earthly multitude, which will let you shapeshift into 72 different shapes, animals and trees, but it's also going to let you duplicate yourself and pretty much do whatever the plot might call for you to do. It's like the Superman movies. Oh, also, I'm going to teach you to fly and somersault 10,000 miles in a single flip.
Okay, if I'm a monkey king made of stone, birthed,
And you may be.
birthed from the convergence of the axes in the fabric of the universe, and then some guy in a fucking cabin in the woods is teaching me to avoid God's lightning bolts with a really good dive roll. I'm leaving. Like something's
that's
gone
true.
wrong. I'm gonna go off.
Okay, this is the Simone
has it.
Biles 4. You got to get this one just right. It's a two-pike tuck. Okay.
Exactly. So Wukong masters the 72 plot devices, and one day he's hanging out with the celestial children, which he does. They're talking shop, and one of them is like, "Hey, can you turn into a pine tree?" And Wukong is like, "As a matter of fact, I can." So he turns into a pine tree, and the army of celestial children are like, "Hey, do it again." But Pooty Sushi sees this, and he's very mad at Wukong for showing off. So he's like, "Never show off with your powers again. And also, don't tell anybody that I'm the one who taught you." And Wukong wakes up having only just met the woodcutter, and for the rest of the story, when anyone asks him where he gets his powers, he says he learned them in his dreams.
Okay, so, but I feel like somewhere in the 10 years of instruction, there was room for, by the way, don't show off the pine tree trick to just anybody. It's just a weird fucking oversight that he thought of it afterwards.
You would think. So, immortal and shape-shifting Sun Wukong heads back to the sweet cave mansion on Flowerfruit Mountain, only to find all his monkey friends have been kidnapped and made slaves by a monster known as the Monstrous King of Havoc.
Man, that Allstate commercial has way more backstory than I'd imagined.
That's what I said, right? It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
That's
So-
mayhem.
Yeah. So
They're
he
brothers.
goes to the monster's
God
house.
damn it, is it
and
really?
it is
Yeah.
mayhem. Yeah, but I was yes-ending.
Well,
I was yes-ending so
God
hard.
damn it.
Tom. So he goes to the
I was like,
monster's
James
house.
Earl Jones? He just died. That's mean.
Wow. So he goes to the monster's house and he's like, "Hey man, do you want to fight?" And the Monstrous King of Havoc is like, "Hell yeah, I want to fight." And Sun
I think it's the
Wukong
Monstrous King of
beats-
Mayhem.
Monstrous King of
I
Mayhem?
think you
Yeah,
have that
like,
wrong.
joke over
You must
here.
have that
correct,
wrong.
yeah, correct. Yeah, it's the
Just feel like
translation.
you
yeah.
did it wrong.
But Sun Wukong beats the shit out of him, frees his friends, and then flies them all home with his new powers.
Sun Wukong gets there, and the monstrous king of Havoc's like, "Yeah, the team of indentured monkeys doesn't really get any work done. Didn't really think this through. I'm just covered in shit all the time. They don't do anything for my mining operation. But let's fight though. Let's fight for sure."
I think they're going to come up with Shakespeare eventually, but it's going to take forever. you
It's
know?
taking
That's a
forever.
really
It's
long
exhausting. Now, I should take a moment here to admit that I am selling you, podcast listeners, short on one of the best things about Journey to the West: the fight scenes. This book is full of badass fight scenes and characters going, "You have not seen my true power," and stuff like that. Problem is, it's like comedy death. Trust me, I tried writing some of it out, and there's just no room for jokes. It's literally just me like playing with action
What else
figures
is
in an
comedy
audio
death?
format. So trust me when I tell you. So trust me when I tell you there was a fight. You can just assume it rocked. Okay, if there's a fight, it was cool. So they get home, and Wukong's like, "Guys, I'm gonna be going on like adventures and stuff. So I'm gonna need to get you some weapons. So next time I leave, I don't want anyone to come by and enslave you." So he goes back to the palace of the Monstrous King of Mayhem, which is apparently chock full of weapons, and he arms up all his monkey friends.
And they just sat around breaking skulls with weapons as Strauss blares in the background.
Problem is, he can't find a weapon that's powerful enough for him. But apparently, one of these monkeys has heard that the Dragon Kings have cool shit. So Wukong heads off to the underwater palace of the Dragon King Wukong to see if he has any
it's
cool
whips
shit
like
that
the
he can have.
rundown. I just watched the rundown.
It's a lot.
It's all whips. Offhand whips.
Quick side note on Chinese dragons.
Eli has spent his entire life hoping for an opportunity to string those words together, y'all. So
really
pay
have.
attention.
Really have. Yeah. So Chinese dragons are kind of like nature gods, right? They're storm dragons and they're fire dragons and water dragons, and they have their own political structure, which is underneath, but definitely in partnership with all the gods in heaven.
And then there's like a lesser known dragon that calls every month about your car's extended warranty.
You're right.
It's
Yeah,
like
there's the dragon of not humid so much as just sticky.
Exactly. Yeah, you guys get it. You get it.
The
Anyway,
patron dragon of Georgia.
exactly. Yes.
I think that's a grand dragon.
Exactly. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh no!
Was the clan.
Exactly. Anyways, Wukong shows up at the palace and he asks for an introduction to Ao Gong. But Ao Gong doesn't want to see him, so he tells his guards to send him away. And the guards are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He can't see you right now." But Wukong's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You must be confused. See, I'm the Monkey King, and your boss is the Dragon King. I'm sure he wouldn't want to send away another king. Also, I don't know if you heard this, but I'm an immortal who just beat the shit out of a guy who calls himself the monstrous king of mayhem. So
This is
and they're like,
lot
yeah, you can
like
come
the
in.
rundown. Just offering options A and B.
Pretty
I
much
love
the
this.
movie. The
Yeah,
roots, the roots are
Okay,
deep. He said,
Stone
like, this is what
Monkey
I'm
played
saying.
by
This
The
is what I'm saying.
Rock. Come on.
Yeah.
This is not
Mhm.
right. It's all coming together. There's magic fruit later. I'm telling you, it's all coming together.
Monkey humps your face. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So Algong,
You guys are really
It's the
making me
best
want to
movie.
see the rundown. Holy shit.
It's a great movie.
the greatest movie.
Hey, can I say you should watch the rundown? You will have exactly the experience you're thinking you might have. It's the best. So Algong shows Wukong his armory, and he's showing him all these badass magical weapons, but nothing's impressing Wukong until he finds this big fucking metal column in the floor that's like holding up the ceiling. And he's like, hey, how about this? Can I have this? And the dragon's like, that's not a weapon. That's the Ruyi Bang, and I use it to keep the 4 seas stable. And Wukong is like, that sounds great. I'm going to take that. That's what I want now. And then he says, it is a little big though. And the staff, which is magic, hears him and shrinks down to a more manageable monkey fighting size. Wukong then turns it on its side, and the staff basically says, this is a magic staff that follows the instructions of its true owner. So if you just changed its size, it's basically yours. Also, and this is very important, it weighs 17,550 pounds.
Okay, this is the most, sir, this is a Wendy's version of arming your main character ever.
It's pretty badass to be able to win a fight by going, here, hold my weapon, though, right?
So Wukong shrinks his new staff down to the size of a needle, which he puts in his ear for safekeeping. But
That's
before
not
he
safe.
leaves, he's like, hey,
That's where you keep
think,
your
right?
needles.
Where do you keep
man.
your
in
needles?
Ear.
he's like, not ears. And he's like, he turns to Algong and he's like, hey, I bet you and the other dragons want to give me a sweet outfit too. And the Dragon King is like, yep. Yeah, we totally do want to give you more stuff, heavily armored monkey. And so he and the other dragons give him a golden chainmail shirt and a phoenix feather cap and cloud walking boots.
And all the Monkey King had to do was a 6-minute sponsored YouTube video in each piece of clothing.
So Wukong heads back to Monkey Mansion, shows off all his cool new shit. Everyone's so impressed that the other animal kings that apparently exist want to form an alliance with him. So they form the 7 Sages with the Bull Demon King, the Lizard Demon King, the Bird Demon King, the Lion Spirit King, the Macaw Spirit King, and the Snub-Nosed Monkey King. Sun Wukong is making up his admittedly monkey-heavy super team. The dragons go to hell and complain about him to Yama, who is the king of hell. So Yama's like, guys, I got this. We'll wait until he falls asleep, and then we'll carry his soul to hell. So Wukong wakes up in hell, and he's like, hey, I'm immortal. This is totally cheating. So he smashes his way into the Palace of Darkness to confront the 10 lower kings of hell about their little loophole thing.
And they're like, sorry, Monkey King, you signed up for Disney Plus and you waived your rights to sue us. So
It's actually pretty close, right? So the 10 kings of hell, they see this heavily armed, magical, shape-shifting monkey, and they're like, oh, you know what happened? We must have meant to get the soul of a different Wukong. That's probably a pretty common name.
Really?
And the Monkey King's like, all right, show me the ledger of the dead then.
There's a different person named Monkey Awakened to Emptiness. That's a...
That is their excuse. Yeah, that is their excuse.
That's like the
So they
Smith
get-
of monkey gods. That's the Smith
Exactly.
of monkey
Apparently,
gods,
yeah. And so they give him the ledger of the dead, and he scratches out his name as well as the name of all the monkeys he knows so that this doesn't happen again. And then he wakes up feeling much better and way less dead.
Good to know that death can be thwarted with whiteout.
In Journey to the West, it can. So at this
a
point,
good eraser.
quite a few
4.
people are complaining. Yeah, exactly. So at this point, quite a few people are complaining to the Jade Emperor about Wukong, right? The Dragon Kings aren't happy. The Kings of Hell aren't happy. And they want him to do something about it. So he's getting ready to have him arrested when the Spirit of Venus suggests that maybe they should just offer him a job up in heaven instead. Side note, the Spirit of Venus, who also goes by the Gold Star and the Gold Star of Venus, is kind of the peacemaker of Journey to the West. You know, when your friends were playing like robbers and too many people got shot or eaten by fire snakes or whatever, and you wanted to like reset the game so everybody could play again? That's what the Gold Star of Venus does.
I have no idea. What the fuck kind of robbers did you play where people got eaten by fire snakes?
Thank
Weren't
you.
there cops?
I
You didn't
stared
have
at
cops
the
and
paragraph.
robbers? You were just
No,
all wrong.
because I've always been.
Robbers
I've always
and
been
fire
Antifa.
snakes? This is like robbers and Beowulf? What the fuck is going on here?
Exactly.
We used to play liars and damn liars. It was fun.
He had to read the graphic novel of Beowulf, though. It wasn't
Exactly.
like the actual book.
That guy fucked my mom. Anyways, the Gold Star of Venus
Beowulf?
goes down. He did.
John
He did
Gardner.
it.
Yeah.
So the Gold Star of Venus goes down to Earth and offers Wukong the job of Pimawen, or head of the Imperial Stables of Heaven, which he eagerly accepts. So Wukong's working at the stables until one day he's, shoveling celestial horse shit when it occurs to him to ask somebody what Pimawen means. And someone's like, oh yeah, that's like the lowest rank in heaven. And Wukong is super insulted. So he fights his way out of heaven and he goes back to Flower Fruit Mountain to sulk.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but did he think that he was shoveling horse shit, but like in a CEO sort of way?
Right?
Let that sink in. Yeah.
Exactly. So he gets back to the mountain and his monkey friends are like, so how was heaven? And he's not going to tell the truth. So he's like, oh, it was great. In fact, they gave me the title of the great sage equal to heaven. So you guys should start calling me that from now on. So the Jade Emperor hears about the fighting his way out of heaven and the calling himself equal to heaven thing. And he's like, that's it. I'm sending 2 celestial soldiers down there to capture him. The Mighty Spirit God and Prince Neza. So Mighty Spirit God is like, okay, monkey, you're coming with us. And Wukong's like, not unless I get a better title. So they fight and Wukong wins.
Okay. Title upgrade and pizza party on Friday is the new deal.
So now it's Prince Neza's turn. And Neza is like, come on, dude, don't throw a big fight like this. Grow up. And the Monkey King is like, you grow up. I want to be called the great sage equal to heaven. So Neza's like, oh, you want me to grow up? I'll grow up, all right. And then he turns into a giant kaiju with a ton of weapons that come springing out of his back, and it's awesome. And Wukong's like,
relaxed.
oh yeah? I know. And Wukong's like, oh yeah, I can do that too. And he turns himself into a giant kaiju that he can duplicate himself. Plus he has a magic stick. So they have a kaiju fight and Wukong wins and it's fucking
Okay, I'm
awesome.
excited, but like I feel just health wise for you.
But how pissed are you if you're Prince Neza, right? Because you've got if you have armored kaiju powers, you have been dying to for a chance to use them for so fucking long, right? And you're finally like, oh my god, this is my moment. Here it is. And then he's like, no, I actually have multiplying kaiju
Sorry,
powers. You're like, fuck.
I could double your powers.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sucks.
So up in heaven, Jade Emperor sees this and he's like, okay, I'm going to go kill that fucking monkey myself. But Gold Star of Venus is like, dude, just give him a title. If we send our army down there and he wins, it's going to embarrass us. So the Emperor's like, yeah, that's a good point. And he sends the Gold Star of Venus down to offer Wukong the title of the great sage equal to heaven, which, of course, he accepts.
All right. Well, a well-armed monkey has talked himself into a job in heaven again. So while I scold Eli for holding this story back for so damn long, we're going to take a quick break for some apropos of nothing. I'm telling you, dude, this goat was like 15 minutes from death.
Ooh, you didn't grant a boon, did you?
Well, of course I granted him the boon.
Wait, seriously?
What? I thought that would count.
Feel like that doesn't count.
Uh-oh, here comes trouble. What's up, other gods?
Oh, hey, Judeo-Christian God. We weren't expecting to see you here.
I know. Actually, I wasn't even invited. But I saw on Winddragon's Facebook that he was coming to the event on Facebook. And I was like, I've got to surprise these guys. They are going to be so psyched.
Yeah. Yeah, psyched, man. Yeah, so, we were just talking about sacrifices. So the other day...
Oh,
this
my
guy
God.
comes-
Yeah, man, that reminds me. Did I ever tell you guys about the time I turned myself into my own son? Then I sacrificed me to forgive the world for not being
Forgive
me.
the world for not. Yeah,
Yeah.
you told us.
I've heard this
Huh?
story.
Yep, sure
Rad,
did. So, like I was saying, the other day, I'm getting a sacrifice, right?
Ooh,
And the guy
yeah, yeah. Who sacrificed something to you? Like, I'm totally gonna kill that guy.
You know what? Never mind.
Yeah, whatever. No problem. Anyway, I'm gonna go watch another school shooting. You guys want to come? It's great.
Nah, man, I think we're okay, dude.
All right. Hey, don't talk about me when I'm gone, because I'm omniscient.
Omniscient. Yeah, got it, man.
No problem.
Hey, is he really omniscient?
Absolutely not.
or-
The only two people on Earth, and he missed both of them eating fruit.
Hey, I heard that.
Really? What did I say?
Something.
See, he's a fucking liar.
And we're back. When we left off, our loose cannon was stuck at a heavenly desk job, but he'll be damned if he's kept off the case. So what? He gets his monkey badge and gun back, I'm assuming?
Yeah. So Wukong's pretty happy with the new gig. He has his own heavenly apartment. He has a bunch of servants, the angel toddler people, to bring him whenever he wants. But the gods are worried he's going to get bored and start breaking shit. So they come up with another job for him to do. Tending the garden of the peaches of immortality.
He's like, 10 fucking years I pissed away? I could have just eaten a peach?
That's exactly how they have to treat Joe Rogan when he's backstage.
I believe it. I believe it. So the day of the annual Peach Festival rolls around, and the Queen Mother of Heaven sends her 7 color-coded immortal maidens to the garden to grab some peaches. But when they get there to the garden, there's no peaches, just a sleeping Wukong. And they wake him up and they're like, hey man, you're supposed to be keeping the peaches safe. And he's like, oh, they're safe, all right. Safe inside my tummy. Which, if you're keeping count now, makes Wukong double immortal. So the maidens are not happy to hear this. And they're like, you're going to ruin the big party at the annual Peach Festival. And Wukong is like, party? Don't mind if I do. So he casts a freeze spell on the maidens, impersonates a different immortal who was invited, and sneaks into the party. So he makes his way into the party, and the first thing he's hit when he gets into the palace is the best smelling wine he's ever smelled. This is the heavenly wine, which also makes you immortal. So Wukong steals it and drinks all of it. So Wukong's so drunk that he accidentally stumbles into the 33 highest levels of heaven, which are unguarded because only the holiest people are allowed up there, and they're all obviously at the party.
The origin of the modern Secret Service finally revealed.
Exactly. While he's there, he spies the palace of Lao Tzu, and he's like, sweet, that dude who wrote the Tao Te Ching. I'm going to go say hi to him. So he goes into the palace, and he doesn't find Lao Tzu, but he does find Lao Tzu's alchemical lab, and there, on his desk, are 3 gourds of immortality pills, and you can guess what he does with those.
Sells them to people who have to deal with a pharmacy benefit manager.
Better. So
I thought he was going to crush him up and do some.
right, I mean,
immortality.
we know he consumes them, right? So the now quadruple immortal Wukong sobers up and he realizes, people are probably going to be pissed. So he leaves the party and goes back down to Earth.
Just a giant stone monkey, all drunk, trying to act normal, like he didn't just vomit in the bathroom during the party,
Yeah.
stumbling out, red face.
I'm sorry, does going to Lao Tzu's palace on a different plane of heaven not count as leaving the
Yeah,
party?
apparently. So, like I said, he heads back to Flower Fruit Mountain and he just hopes nobody notices what he did. But meanwhile, back at the party, there's no wine, no peaches, no pills of immortality, and the maidens and the guy who Wukong impersonated to get into the party are all complaining to the Jade Emperor. So he's like, that's it. This monkey's going down. And he sends pretty much the entire heaven army down to Earth to apprehend Wukong. And they try. But he's now quadruple immortal, has an army of well-armed monkeys, and a Sinistry 6 with a bunch of demon animals.
And then the Supreme Court ruled that if an immortal stone monkey god does it, he has absolute immunity.
You're not far off, Tom. Meanwhile, up in heaven, Kuan Yin, the Chinese Buddhist god of compassion, shows up to the party, and she sees half the guests downstairs just getting their shit kicked in by a demon monkey down on Earth. So she sends her disciples, Moxa, who happens to be one of the princes of heaven, down to check it out.
Hey, Moxa, this party sucks. If I give you $20, can you head to the liquor store, maybe?
It's closed today. It's closed today. Anyway, did I tell you about the time I murdered my son to save the souls of humanity?
Yes.
Yeah, so Wukong sees Moxa and he's like, oh, you're one of those heaven guys. Are you here to fight me? And Moxa's like, I'm actually supposed to just be gathering information, but sure, why not? And so Wukong kicks his butt. So Moxa gets back up to heaven and he's like, yeah, that monkey can really fight. But Kuan Yin has an idea. She tells the Jade Emperor that she knows just the person to fight Wukong, Erlang Shen, aka Ancient China's Paul Walker.
Yeah, so this guy thinks he's immortal. He's not, but it should buy us a little bit of time.
Well, here's hoping China's Paul Walker stands up to a giant pole better than ours.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, too soon.
Oh,
That's
You brought it into
amazing.
this.
God.
Okay, let me explain the thing. So, if the modern world has movie stars, athletes, and whatever the Kardashians are, ancient China has hydraulic engineers. I know that sounds weird, but you got to remember how important agricultural technology was in China at the time. So, if you figured out some cool water shit, you weren't just a rock star, they made you a god in their novels. In fact, Erlang Shen isn't even the first reference to a hydraulic engineer superstar in Journey to the West. Wukong's magic expanding staff is actually named after a different water technology guy. So they're a big deal. Anyways, Erlang Shen is the deification of Li Erlang, the second son of Li Bing, a hydraulic engineer of the Qin dynasty. Again, that's how famous these superstar water science guys were. You could be their second son and still get a god named after you. Anyways, Erlang Shen is the greatest warrior god of heaven. Not sure why they didn't think of sending him first, but they did. He has a 3-pronged spear, which is dope, but he also has a third eye with permanent true sight, which is very useful when fighting shape-shifting monkeys.
Why though?
I imagine they get behind you. You know, they get behind real fast. Lots of dive rolls. Like,
Really strong
Yeah, but then
legs.
they're 10,000 miles behind you. So you're probably safe.
have you seen Bloodsport?
Exactly, yeah. So Jade Emperor sends Erlang down, and he's pretty much an equal match for Wukong. So they start turning into kaijus so they can really fuck each other up. Problem is, kaiju Wukong is so scary that his army of monkeys runs away, which bums him out so hard he decides he doesn't want to fight anymore. So he turns into a sparrow to escape, but Erlang is a shapeshifter too, so he turns into a sparrow hawk and chases after him, which in turn causes Wukong to turn into a bigger thing, and so on and so on, and they do that for like 11 pages.
8 pages in, they both lost the thread. Flamingo, marmoset. Nope, that's nothing. Hang on. Which one are you going to do next? Siri, what eats a capybara?
All right, wait. So to be clear, getting bummed out mid-fight and trying to leave is called losing, right? So he lost this fight. He's a fictional character, and his author seems unable to deal with that. But that's what happened just now.
100%, yeah. So the gods are all watching
I like
this.
that he did Hawk, and the other guy was like, Sparrow Hawk, fuck you.
Exactly.
I added a thing.
Exactly. So the gods are all watching this, and Lao Tzu is like, oh my God, you fighting gods are so much worse at fighting than you should be. And he either traps Wukong in a diamond snare or throws a diamond ring at his head, which knocks him out. The two major translations completely disagree on this. And while there are usually like notes in the more modern translation about why our translation is different than the older version, it's just different with no explanation at all. So I don't know what to tell you. One of those things happens and I don't speak Chinese. So Wukong is captured and now it's time to execute him. But if you remember, he's quadruple immortal now. So it's not like they can just cut off his head, but Lao Tzu has another solution.
Is it cut off his head 5 times?
Yeah,
I
the
feel like it
guy
would be 5 times.
quadruple immortal is still just immortal. This is like when Pizza Hut named a pizza the Super Supreme. You can't, if the one was supreme.
Because the roots are so deep, no illusions. That's why. So Lao Tzu suggests they put Wukong in his magic brazier of 8 trigrams and leave him there for 49 days. That should separate the immortality stuff like the wine and the peaches and the pills from his body, and then he'll just be a monkey and the heat inside will kill him.
Man, after 49 days, he must be really tender.
That's the
right?
plan.
Like
That's the hope.
really tender.
Falls right off the
Yeah,
bone.
so the gods come back 49 days later, and Wukong is very much not dead. But the smoke did turn his eyes permanently red, which is one of the many reasons why No Illusions will play him when we make our comedy audio drama of the rest of the story.
Makes sense, but I know it's been baked a lot longer than 49 days.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I'm very
Yeah, exactly. So red-eyed
The
Wukong.
red eyes is cool with the shing now. I feel
Exactly,
like
yeah,
they
it's
did
fun.
bump it up.
Everything in this story is cool. So red-eyed Wukong pops out of the brazier. I love it. Exactly. So red-eyed Wukong pops out of the brazier and he starts fucking up heaven again, which leaves the Jade Emperor no choice but to call on the big guy himself, the Buddha.
Jade Emperor is just in the middle of the ring, shaking uncontrollably, reaching toward the ropes to tap Buddha's hand. He's so close.
And it's Buddha with the steel pillow.
Yes. It literally is, though.
God.
It is, though. So,
Zafu.
one last side note. If you're from the West, you're probably pretty confused that I just talked about the Buddha, who you know as an Indian prince who sat under a tree, wrote down some good ideas about meditation. Well, that is a very, very modern notion of both Buddha and Buddhism. At the time Journey to the West was written, Buddhism was the dominant religion in China, but it wasn't the only one by a long shot. So the authors of the Journey to the West, who were Buddhist, were just like, yeah, Buddha is like king god, even above the other king god. He's king god's king god. So that's who exactly. So that's who the Jade Emperor asked for help.
So the Jade Emperor of Heaven is middle management. This is so disillusioning, damn it.
That's what I'm saying.
It's assistant to the regional emperor.
Yeah. So Buddha comes down across. He's there, and he's like, "Hey, Wukong, why so aggro?" And Wukong is like, "I will not rest until I've overthrown the Jade Emperor. Fight me!" And Buddha's like, "I'm not going to fight you, but I'll make you a bet."
Nope. I'm gonna stop you right there. No, just the fighting. We're not
Well,
doing
see,
that.
it works on Wukong. Wukong's like, "I'm listening." He says, "Look, if you can successfully jump out of the palm of my hand, I will let you overthrow the Jade Emperor."
I said no. We're just fighting.
Well,
We're just
Wukong
fighting.
fell for it, and you didn't. Hey, then, right? So
Okay.
when you start Journey to the East, you can not fall for Buddha's trick. So Wukong's like, "Psh, maybe you didn't hear, but I can jump 10,000 miles in a single somersault." So he jumps all the way to the edge of the universe, to the 5 columns that hold up the sky. In fact, he's so pleased with himself that he graffitis one of the columns and then pees on it for good measure.
Is that a level of pleased?
For some of us.
Exactly. So then Wukong jumps back into Buddha's palm and he's like, "Ha! Not only did I jump out of your palm, but I jumped to the edge of the universe." And Buddha's like, "Did you really look at those columns?" And sure enough, he shows him his finger and it has Wukong's name and pee on it.
Okay, weird way to prove a point, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
I have your pee on my hand. Face in your face. Victory sip? What's the dynamic here? I don't understand.
That's right.
That's why you don't take a bet with Buddha.
Exactly. So Wukong's like, "Look, I am out of here." But before he can escape, Buddha turns his hand into a mountain and keeps him under there with a magic seal, where he stays for 500 years with only iron pellets to eat and molten copper to drink.
So it was a Denny's?
How dare you, Cecil? We're enemies now.
This is America's
ranch.
diner. Why do you hate freedom, Cecil?
You want pregnant women not to work? Because that's what you sound like. Like you don't want women to work while they're pregnant.
I didn't say Waffle House. I said Denny's.
Best fucking ranch dressing in the business.
People are eating dogs in the middle of the country, Cecil. People are eating dogs. They need Denny's.
Proudly stand up next. Now, that's not the end of the story, because between Buddha and Wukong. Wukong will go on to be Buddha's greatest ally, his disciple's most important disciple, and very nearly his downfall. But that's the story for another day. Or like 50 days. It's a really, really long book.
What was it like? Like 1,000 pages?
2,000. I don't know if you heard.
Wow.
Was it 2,000?
Crazy.
It's over, too. And if you had to summarize...
It's a long joke. It's like an infinite jest.
And if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, Eli, what would it be?
Don't fuck with the Buddha.
All right. Are you ready for the quiz?
As long as it doesn't require reading the book, I'm in.
All right, Eli, like many archetypal stories, echoes of the Monkey King influence literature and the arts. So which is the best modern adaptation of this story? A, Curious George Eats That Peach.
Oh, shit.
B, 12 Monkeys, 1 Cup. C, Chimp Crazy.
Chimp Crazy!
Chimp Crazy it is, yes!
I like
You know how-
2 girls, 1 capuchin.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. And I now know that Tom and I are the only people on this call who watch Chimp Crazy, because it's the fucking greatest thing. And everyone else would be making these noises if you would also watch Chimp Crazy. You should watch Chimp Crazy.
All right, Eli, what should this movie be called? A, Bulletproof Monk, E.
Fantastic.
Furious George. C. Fighty Joe Young. Or D. P. King Kong.
Oh my God, brilliant.
I like Fighty Joe. Eli, which do you
gonna-
like
Eli,
best?
guess- This is
I'm
one
going to
is the
go
thing that
with
happens
Fighty
next.
Joe Young.
It's P. King Kong.
Is it Fighty Joe Young?
It's P. King Kong. That's what it is.
Ah.
All right, Eli, I got one more for you. How do we know that monkey gods aren't real? A. McCockham's razor. There's no beers here. dude.
That's fine. But you know what? When you get it with Macaca's razor, it's Macaca's razor.
That is incorrect. It was actually not the only possible answer, and I win, I think, right?
Oh. Yes, you do. Regardless of what Cecil said, you win.
Nice. Brought it back. Next week, thank you, Noah, for supporting me in the system. You're up next.
All right. Well, for Eli, Tom, Cecil, and Heath, I'm Noah. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, I'll be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can listen to more from Cecil and me on our new podcast, Why the Fuck Must My Team Suck for All of Eternity? Am I especially cursed by the fucking sports god or what? And if you'd like to help keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com. Which is why I, Zhong Ying, have decided to grant your wish for...
Hey, John Yang. Hey, who's this?
Oh, it's a 13-year-old with cancer, man. I'm kind of in the middle of a thing.
Yeah. You getting her pregnant, huh?
No.
All right, well then, do you mind if I...
Yes, I do.
Right. Sorry. Hey. Got it.